Have you ever had that strange feeling that something invisible is calling you? As if in the midst of everything you live, there is something inside you asking for silence, asking for truth, asking for answers. This is not confusion. It is a sign that your soul has begun to awaken. This video did not appear by accident. It was not just the algorithm. It was not curiosity. It was frequency. You have arrived here because something inside you resonated with the same harmony of what you are about to hear. This does not happen to just anyone. It happens to those who are ready. Many people go through their lives on autopilot. They wake up, produce, distract themselves, and go to bed feeling empty. But you have been feeling differently. You have noticed that common answers no longer suffice, that the noise of the world has become unbearable, that there is something greater trying to reveal itself, even if you still do not know what it is. That discomfort you feel is not weakness. It is sensitivity. And it does not appear in just anyone. It appears in the chosen ones, in those who did not come to the world merely to survive, but to awaken. And awakening is not easy. It is lonely. It is intense. But it is the beginning of everything. Here, you will not hear ready-made phrases or magical promises. This content is for those who feel, for those who are going through a strange, deep, silent phase, and even without understanding everything, know that they can no longer go back to being who they were before. If you have come this far, it is because your soul is guiding you. And everything that will be said in this video can and will make you see more clearly what is happening inside you. You are not alone, and you are not going crazy. You are awakening. If this made sense to you, if it touched on something that words cannot explain, I invite you to follow this channel, but not to stay updated or follow the next videos. Follow because your soul has asked for this kind of message. And when it asks again, this channel will be here at the right moment, in the right way. You imagined that a spiritual calling would come with flashes and mystical voices. But in fact, it begins with a simple discomfort. When what used to serve you suddenly no longer makes sense. You thought that if something spiritual ever happened to you, it would be something grand. You envisioned obvious signs, mystical encounters, sensations beyond the normal. But it wasn't like that. It was silent. It was a slight annoyance at first, a thought that wouldn't leave your mind, a strange feeling that something was out of place. What made you happy now feels empty. What once seemed right no longer fits. Conversations become superficial. Routines lose meaning. And even when everything seems fine in your life, you feel an emptiness that you cannot explain. This is the beginning of awakening. And it does not come with fireworks. It comes with silence, with confusion, with the feeling of being alone even when surrounded by people. Not because you isolated yourself, but because your soul has already begun to follow another path, and your body is still trying to keep up. Most people live on autopilot, and many will continue like this for a long time. But the chosen ones cannot, because they carry a greater sensitivity, a natural connection to what is true. And when the soul calls, there is no way to pretend you didn't hear. The discomfort that arises is the first sign that you are no longer fitting into the old way of living. Even if everything is functioning externally, something inside is already crumbling, and you know it. You can no longer ignore it. Many times, awakening begins in the midst of a crisis. Other times, in the midst of success. The external situation doesn't matter. What matters is that your soul has already begun to question. It has realized that there is more than what has been taught. You begin to see that you have been living on autopilot, that you repeat patterns, words, choices that aren't even yours. You start to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Who am I living for? Who would I be if I truly listened to myself? These questions are the portal. Do not wait for someone to confirm your awakening. It does not come with a stamp. It comes with doubts, with the desire to truly know yourself, with the impulse to break cycles, to rupture what silently hurts, and with the willingness to live more authentically. Perhaps you have tried to return to normal a few times, tried to distract yourself, force happiness, ignore the restlessness, but it comes back, and it will return every time you try to distance yourself from your essence, because the soul does not remain silent when it is time to wake up. Being a chosen one is this. It is starting to feel things that others do not yet notice. It is having the courage to step out of autopilot and follow a path that has no map, but has truth. And even without knowing exactly where to go, you already know that you can no longer stay where you were. That emptiness you feel is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of space being created within you. Space for something new. Space for something that is yours. And when this new arrives, everything changes from the inside out. Awakening is not loud, but it is real. And if you are here, it is because it has already begun, even if in silence. The truth is that when the inner world changes, the outer world does too. For example, you begin to realize that the world is not happening to you. It is responding to you. Every emotion, thought, and belief you have shapes the events around you. For a long time, you believed that life was a sequence of events beyond your control, that things just happened. But something began to change. You started to notice patterns, repetitions, small coincidences that deep down seem to have something to say. When the soul awakens, it begins to understand that nothing is that random, that there is a subtle connection between what is happening inside you and what the world shows outside. The external becomes a mirror, the universe a constant response. You think of someone, and that person appears. You change a habit, and something in your surroundings also changes. You make a choice that is more aligned, and everything begins to flow. These small transformations are not magic. They are reflections. Your energy has begun to be read more clearly. The truth is that your vibration communicates with the universe all the time. You emit signals through your feelings, attitudes, and intentions. And what comes back is an echo of that. When you change what is inside, you change what is outside. This does not mean that everything will be easy, but it means that now you know where your point of power lies, not in circumstances, but in internal decisions. You begin to take responsibility for what you feel, what you think, and what you cultivate. Little by little, you realize that you can create different realities by changing your posture towards life. If you used to react with fear, you now begin to respond with awareness. If you used to hide, you now choose to take a stand. Every internal gesture moves something outside. It is at this point that the chosen ones truly begin to grow, because they understand that they do not need to control everything. They only need to take care of what they are emitting. The energy you carry is your communication code with life, and what it returns is compatible with that. This change does not need to be radical. Sometimes all it takes is a lighter thought, a truer feeling, a cleaner intention. Small internal actions realign your vibration and open up space for new things to manifest outside. You begin to attract different people, more aligned situations, opportunities more coherent with who you are becoming. And what once seemed improbable now happens with fluidity, because now there is harmony between you and what you desire to live. The outer world is no longer a place of threat. It becomes a field of response, a space for interaction with your own energy. You plant within, you harvest outside. This simple truth changes everything. When this awareness is established, you stop blaming the world, and you start to observe yourself. You learn to read the signs, to take care of your vibration, to make subtle adjustments when you notice that something is off balance. And with that, your reality begins to reorganize. The power of creation is not in wanting everything from the outside. It is in transforming what vibrates inside you. It is there that magic begins to seem natural. It is there that the invisible becomes visible. It is there that the chosen ones understand who they really are. You feel before you know. You sense before you understand. It's as if something inside you already knows what is about to happen. This protects you, guides you, moves you. This silent feeling is not a coincidence. It is your intuition speaking clearly. The chosen ones have this sensitivity more alive. They can perceive what is behind what is said. They see beyond the gesture. They feel the atmosphere even before sitting down. It's as if there is an antenna inside them, picking up signals that most ignore. At first, it seems confusing. You feel something, but the mind doubts. Logic tries to explain, but it cannot. The heart tightens, the body gives signals. Something bothers or attracts you for no reason. Only later, over time, do you understand that it made sense from the very beginning. This perception does not arise from fear. It arises from presence. Intuition manifests more strongly when you are calm, when you are connected with yourself. Excess noise, rushing, and distraction only muddle this signal. That's why internal silence is so necessary. You do not need to force yourself to be intuitive. Intuition does not come from outside. It comes from the center of your soul. It is a remembrance of what is already known, even if it has never been spoken. It is a wisdom that is not learned from books, but is activated with attention. The signs are subtle. Sometimes it's a chill. Other times, it's a feeling of lightness or discomfort when you're next to someone. It can come as a strong dream, as a synchronicity in the middle of the day, as an answer that arrives before the question. You start to notice patterns. You realize when the universe wants to show you something. You know when to wait, when to retreat, when it is time to act. And the more you listen to this flow, the stronger it becomes. It is a channel that opens with use. Many ignore this because they have been taught to rely only on the rational. But the rational has limits. Intuition transcends those limits and points to paths that logic has not yet reached. It doesn't need to make immediate sense. It just needs to make sense inside. Life begins to flow differently when you learn to trust this inner sense. Choices become lighter. Deviations become less painful. Connections become more genuine. All because you stopped following the world and began to follow yourself. The chosen ones have this sharper compass because they carry greater responsibilities, and to fulfill them, they need this silent guidance. They need this vivid sensitivity. It is not a spiritual luxury. It is a path tool. The more you respect what you feel, the stronger this connection becomes. It doesn't matter if no one understands. It doesn't matter if the world doubts. What matters is that you recognize that this sense is active and that you can trust with your eyes closed. The world around you will always try to distract you, but your intuition doesn't need to shout. It just needs to be heard. And if you have been feeling this frequently, it is because you are already on the path. You look around and sometimes feel that the world is against you. People treat you coldly, doors close, situations repeat. Everything seems difficult. But what if, instead of persecution, this is just a reflection of what is happening inside you? The external reality has no will of its own. It responds. It reflects. It is neither a punishment nor a reward. It is an exact mirror of your vibration, of the emotions you carry, of the thoughts you cultivate when no one is watching. This is not blame. It is awareness. The universe does not operate with judgment. It merely returns what you send out. How you treat yourself, how you value yourself, how you see yourself, shapes how the world will react to you. If there is scarcity, it is possible that there is a lack of worthiness inside. If there is rejection, perhaps you're rejecting yourself. If everything seems confusing, maybe you are still at war with parts of yourself that need acceptance. The chosen ones carry a greater sensitivity, and because of this, they reap reflections with more intensity. Small internal changes generate significant external changes. It is as if the universe responds more quickly, precisely because you are ready to perceive. When you heal, the world responds with healing. When you embrace yourself, relationships begin to lighten. When you choose the truth, false situations dissolve on their own, not by magic, but by frequency. Changing the external without touching the internal is like trying to change the mirror, thinking that this will change your reflection. It doesn't work. The point of real transformation always starts from within. And the good news is that this place depends only on you. It is difficult to face this truth at first, but then it frees you. Because if you are part of the creation of your reality, you're also part of the solution. You're not trapped. You just need to align what you feel with what you want to live. Life returns your own energy with extreme precision. This is a tool, a constant signal of how you are inside. Using this as a guide is one of the most conscious steps a chosen one can take. Healing the internal is a deep work, but each layer that dissolves changes what comes from the outside. Relationships change, opportunities appear. The world begins to react to a new version of you. And all of this starts without noise. It begins with sincerity. You think of something, and suddenly it happens. You are reflecting on a doubt, and someone says exactly what you needed to hear. You look at the clock repeatedly and see the same numbers. It may seem small, but these experiences carry a message. These signs are not random. They are responses. They are subtle ways that the universe uses to remind you that you are being guided. When this becomes frequent, it is because your soul is more awake, more receptive, more connected with the language that does not use words. The chosen ones naturally develop this type of perception. They feel more, observe more, and live with their sensitivity activated. And because of this, they notice details that others ignore. They begin to realize that life is communicating all the time. Seeing repeated numbers, hearing the same phrase in different places, running into the same person multiple times, all of this has a frequency behind it. It is not coincidence. It is attunement. You and the universe are meeting on the same channel. When this happens, it is not necessary to understand everything logically. Just observe, feel, trust. The sign does not want to prove anything. It wants to align you. It wants to show you that there is a flow happening and that you are within it. These synchronicities are like little whispers saying, "Keep going. You are on the right path. Don't give up now." They appear more when you are present, calmer, more connected to your own truth. Because in this state, you perceive what was previously unnoticed. Do not ignore these encounters. They are not merely curious, they are spiritual. They are reminders that you are not alone, even when you feel that you are. There is something greater in motion, something that listens to you, something that responds. Most people go through life trying to avoid pain. They pretend that everything is fine, hide what they feel, and move on as if nothing is broken. But the chosen ones cannot do this for long. Their soul calls for truth, and truth demands healing. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to have all the answers. But you need to be willing to look inside with honesty, to recognize the wounded parts, the painful memories, the patterns that keep repeating. Because as long as this is not healed, it continues to hold you back. Spiritual portals do not open with complicated techniques or magic formulas. They open with truth. When you stop hiding from yourself, you begin to access parts of yourself that were dormant. You start to feel your light more clearly. The blockages are not outside. They are within. They are beliefs you have carried for years. They are words you heard and believed. They are wounds you used as identity. And now, little by little, they begin to lose strength because you are remembering who you truly are. Healing is not about erasing the past. It is about changing how you relate to it. It is about lifting the weight. It is about looking back without getting stuck. It is about accepting that everything that has happened has brought you to this point. But it does not need to define you going forward. With every part of you that reconciles, a new level of consciousness is revealed. You feel more peace. You have more clarity. Your choices become lighter, and things start to happen with more fluidity. Because now there is space. Now there is alignment. The chosen ones did not come to this world to pretend. They came to cleanse, to break cycles, to open paths. And all of this begins with their own healing, not because they need to be an example, but because the light they carry only shines when it is not covered in pain. Real transformation does not happen in books or in lectures. It happens in practice, in daily life, in those who choose to be different when it would be easier to repeat the same patterns. And you have been doing this, perhaps without realizing it, but you are already living this change. Every time you choose to act with awareness when you could react impulsively, you elevate yourself. Every thought you realign, every emotion you embrace, every small truth you acknowledge, all of this transforms your frequency. And this frequency affects the world around you. You are not here just to awaken. You are here to sustain this new consciousness while it is still rare, to live with truth even when no one else is doing the same, to maintain your essence even in environments that try to suppress it. This responsibility is not a burden. It is a gift. It is the privilege of carrying within you the proof that change is possible, that the new path exists, that living with soul is not a dream. It is a real path. The chosen ones do not just talk about light, they walk with it, even while stumbling, even in silence, even when no one sees. Because what transforms is not what is said, but what is vibrated. And you vibrate transformation every time you choose to be who you are with truth. You do not need to convince anyone. You just need to continue being who you came to be. Your conscious presence is already a seed. Your journey is the teaching. And your silent example is worth more than any theory. You are the living proof of transformation. And even if the world does not yet understand, it is being impacted by you every day. Getting here was not by chance. Something inside you asked for this message, and it arrived. Perhaps on an ordinary day, perhaps while you were searching for something else. But somehow, you knew you needed to hear what was said. Everything you felt throughout this video, the confirmations, the discomforts, the memories, are part of your process. You are no longer in the same place as before, because now you carry awareness, and once awake, it does not go back to sleep. The universe does not send answers for no reason. It delivers when it knows you are ready to receive them. And if you made it to the end, it is because you are ready. Even with doubts, even with fear, even without knowing the next step, you are ready. This journey is not about becoming someone different. It is about returning to who you have always been, behind the pains, the masks, the distractions. Your essence is alive. It was just waiting for space to appear. Everything you heard here can and should be felt calmly. Let the words take action. Reflect with an open heart. Observe how your perception begins to change in the coming days. The signs will come, and you will recognize them. If any part of this content spoke directly to you, if something here described exactly what you are living or feeling, write in the comments a sentence, a phrase, an insight, something true that emerged from your heart. It can be a word, a memory, or just an "I felt." Share because others are going through this too. And when we speak, we anchor and help others recognize themselves as well. This space is yours, and this journey now is too.